Celeste, everybody.
Yeah, that's better. Thank you. So what was I going to talk about tonight? It is a pretty big crowd. So when I think of Metropolis, there are lists of the great cities of the world, and often in that list will appear the city of Paris. So my story is about my first experience in Paris. So I came to the opportunity to visit Paris many years ago when I happened to be dating a man from Germany. He lived in Germany, and I was in Germany. I was over there to visit him, and he graciously offered to me that in addition to showing me all around the country of Germany, he would, for my benefit, drive us into France so I could visit Paris. It was a quick excursion, a day and a half. I had a day and a half in Paris. And so this was sort of his gift to me. That, if you know anything about history, the French and the Germans don't really get along. So he did this gesture for my behalf, but he did it begrudgingly, and he was miserable and grumpy the whole time. Now, I had only a day and a half, and he laid down the ground rules. The ground rules were these. I hate France. And so this whole entire excursion is up to you. Where we stay, where we eat, when we eat, what we see, it's all whatever you want. I'm not, and if we have to interact with anybody, it's on me. So, okay. He didn't speak a word of French. If he did speak French, I'm sure his gums would have bled. So I had high school French, 4 years of high school French at my disposal. So I found myself getting very anxious about this particular trip because I was eager to see Paris, but I desperately did not want to be the ugly American who refuses to try and speak the language and, be gracious, as Parisians are known to be. But I really felt it my obligation, my responsibility to be a good sort of ambassador for America and do my best and use my high school French to get around in Paris. And so my story, it was only like a day and a half, right? An overnight stay, and I have about 20 stories from this particular trip, so more stories to come in future story slams, I'm sure. But so I've chosen to tell you like my first impression of the city. So we drive in. His agreement in this bargain is he drives me there. So we drive into the city, and because this was a short notice, I didn't make hotel plans. I didn't make any plans, and so the first order of business was find a place to stay. So we sort of drove into the neighborhood we thought would be the hub of where I wanted to go and visit, and we sort of drove up and down the streets like looking for hotel signs. Oh, there's one, it looks okay. So he pulls up and he parks the car and he sort of just sits there because he's not going to come in with me because that would require speaking to a Frenchman, and so it's up to me. So, all right, so now I've really gotten myself worked into a lather because now I have to think about, okay, what's the phrase for asking, how do I say in French, I want a room with a bath, and how much do we want to pay, and what's the conversion rate, and how do I say that number in French? And this was francs at the time. The euro didn't exist at that time. So I'm in the car, and I'm like running through this in my head so I know what I'm going to be saying when I go in there. So I get myself all worked up, and I walk in, and I'm very nervous. And there behind the desk is a fellow he's middle-aged, and he has the whole, ennui attitude, right? Just like, I'm so bored to hell with life. Hello, what do you want? And so, I'm like an American in Paris, And I give him my most friendly smile. You know, I got to warm this guy up. I got to show my best. So I give him my best French, and I say, now I'm forgetting what it is. Je voudrais une chambre avec pain, s'il vous plaît. Oh, I was so proud of myself. And so, you know, and I'm smiling, and his reaction is he rolls his eyes. And he says, no, and then he goes on and on in French, too fast for me to understand with my high school French. But I did understand the universal sign for shoe. No. I guess that means he doesn't have any rooms. And I would have turned around, except a follow-up question was burning on my brain that I had to ask, but my French vocabulary wouldn't allow it. And so I had to resort to English, my American English, and I said, but is there another hotel that you might recommend? No, and the universal sign for shoe. And so I turned around and I felt really sort of dejected, and I had failed in my mission to spread American peace and goodwill to our French brethren. And as I walked out and was replaying the scene in my mind, I realized that I had really asked him for a room with bread. The word for bath is le bain, which is very similar to the word for bread, which is le pain. And so I suppose I got what I deserved. Nevertheless, the next hotel, we did find a room, and therein I proceeded to have a pretty disappointing experience of Paris, full of stories which perhaps I'll be able to tell you next time.